Hey everyone, this video is long overdue for some people. Synthing in KH2 is pretty tricky if you don't know the best ways to go about handling it, but once you do, it's rather easy. So this video will display common fast methods of synthing to help you out. This will be part 1 of a part 2 video dedicated to synthing because of how much detail there is to explain. Let's begin with the basics of synthing. First off, you need to determine when a good time to start synthing is. In Kingdom Hearts 1, the best time to get most synth items was actually before defeating Riku Ansem, as that changed the encounters across the game, which made some enemies quite rare and inconvenient to find. However, in KH2, the best time to synth is towards the end of the game. Most of this is due to the fact that you'll have much stronger magic endgame and also have access to multiple lucky abilities to equip, which makes drops more common. The enemies are also mostly easier to farm off of endgame. In KH2, the enemies in Worlds changes after the 1000 Heartless fight. Next, realize that in 2FM they have removed a Lucky from any weapons that previously had the ability in original KH2. Instead, they replace them with Lucky Rings, which can be Synth. So when you actually begin grinding for Synth items, it may become apparent that enemies don't respawn quite as easily as you'd hope. There is no Encounter Plus ability, so you can do one of two easy methods to respawn enemies you're farming off of. The first is to simply leave the world. Doing so resets all encounters to respawn. The next is usually faster in 2.5 due to load times if you're on critical mode, and that is to just simply die to an enemy. Using continue respawns everything. If you're a high level, just unequip all armor and you'll probably be killed quickly by most enemies. The method of killing enemies fast depends on your level and setup. In most cases, you can't go wrong with a Magnega into an Explosion or Thundaga. This groups enemies together for easy kills. In KH2, you actually get to buy most synth items once you obtain enough of them. This is extremely useful if you have money to spare to get some annoying synth items faster. The following is the required amount to make a synth item buyable: 30 for shards, 25 for stones, and 20 for gems. No crystals are buyable. Other synth items not buyable include Remembrance, Tranquil, Mithril, Energy, Bright, Serenity, and the 2 illusion items, and of course, Orichalcums. Last but not least for basics is that the Lucky abilities are only in effect when a member of the party is present. For example, if you go into Final Form or a Summon, only Sora's will be active. But if you go Limit Form, you still have Donald and Goofy's active while also having Sora's. Finally, it's time to talk about how to get started. The first thing you may want to do is buy 99 ethers. If you don't have the money, click on what hopefully should be an annotation in this video or the description to see how to get money fast from a previous video. You will want tons of ethers to spam magic to kill enemies faster and safer, especially if you're at level 1. After this, make sure you grab all the chests in the game. Doing so allows you to get tons of mithril synth items that are required for a ton of recipes. You don't really need the synth to mithril items if you get all the chests unless you synth duplicates. While you're at it, I would recommend getting all the crown pieces too and completing the puzzles, specifically for the draw ring recipe from the 3rd puzzle. Next, you're going to want to get started with leveling up your Moogle. The higher the Moogle level, the more options and benefits you get to synth. The game wants you to level it naturally by synthing things one at a time. However, I'm going to tell you an easier and much faster way without wasting tons of important synth items. What we're going to be doing is synthing Donald Save the Queen weapon repeatedly. This weapon is worth 78 EXP at base, and when it's combined with a Bright Crystal, it is 156 per synth. Doing this will max out your Moogle level rather fast. You want to do this because a level 9 Moogle will have all S-rank recipes after the first time they're made, making things like synthing Lucky Rings much faster. And since dense items are easy to get, it's not too hard to make these in bulk. For the weapon, you'll require the following items: 1 Orichalcum, 3 dense crystals, 7 dense stones, 9 dense shards, and you'll want a bright crystal for more EXP, and when you get to level 4 Moogle, you can use both a bright and energy crystal to save ingredients as well. For a quick rundown, here's how to get the items. Orichalcum are from chests and bulky vendors, dense crystals are from berserkers, dense stones are from snipers, and dense shards are from creepers and dragoons. All of these are in the world that never was, and are in bulk in some parts of the area. So abuse that to get their items real fast, and feel free to death abuse to make them respawn faster too. The drop rates are a bit low at the moment if you haven't made any lucky rings, but it still pays off. As for the bright crystals, they are dropped mostly by Neo Shadows, which you can encounter in various places as well as Strafers, Crescendos, and Air Pirates. The energy crystals are dropped by Bookmasters, and they are all over outside of Merlin's room. Once you do all of this and hit Moogle level 9, you can easily start to make Lucky Rings to greatly speed up synth grinding significantly. The next step to speed up synth grinding is to create Lucky Rings. Each one equipped is the same as having a Lucky ability equipped. You will likely want to create 8 or 9 of these. Donald has 3 slots, Goofy has 2 slots, and Sora should have 4 if you've done most things. However, you will likely want to have one of Sora's dedicated to a magic or AP increasing accessory, so no need to get 9, 8 should suffice. You get the Lucky Ring recipe as the Draw Ring recipe when you complete the third puzzle, so you may want to collect all of the puzzle pieces ahead of time. Next, you need to synth the Draw Ring first to get access to Lucky Ring in the Creations menu. The full ingredients are the following: 1 Found Illusion, 3 Remembrance Shards, 3 Bright Gems, 5 Bright Stones, 9 Bright Shards, and a Serenity Crystal. An Energy Crystal may also be a good idea to have the items required so you can make them much easier. You will definitely want your Moogle to be level 9, because if he is and you make the Draw Ring the first time, your ingredients will be immediately halved the next time, meaning instead of 9 shards you will only need 5, or instead of 5 you will only need 3. And the best part is if you toss an Energy Crystal now, it will even further lessen the ingredients. Use this to bring a 9 requirement down to a 3, or a 5 down to a 2, and so on. To quickly go over the ingredient locations, Found Illusion is obtained from either some chests, beating Terra / Lingering Will, or synthing it. Click on the annotation on the video currently to see how to defeat Terra at any level rather easily and fast. If not, you can synth a Found Illusion with the following: 1 Tranquil Crystal from doing well against mushrooms, 1 Remembrance Crystal from the Devastator palette swap enemies in Cavern of Remembrance, 9 Bright Crystals which are mostly obtained from Neo Shadows and Strafers, and 1 Serenity Gem from Bulky Vendor's second to last reaction command. An Energy Gem halves the recipe as well. The 9 Bright Crystals may seem bad, but an Energy Gem with a level 7 or higher Moogle will knock it down to only 3 required, so I recommend that if you synth them. Energy Gems are obtained from Fortune Tellers or Emerald Blues, both of which are directly inside Cave of Wonders in Agrabah. Back to the Lucky Ring recipe, we have Remembrance Shards from enemies in the first room of Cavern of Remembrance. Bright Gems can be found from Aerial Knockers in Pride Lands. Bright Stones can be obtained from Driller Moles in Olympus in the Green Room going up to Hades, and while you're there, Bright Shards are dropped by the Minute Bombs in that same room. Serenity Crystals are dropped from a Bulky Vendor's last reaction command or synth, and an Energy Crystal is obtained from Bookmasters in Radiant Garden if you want to have the ingredients. Use all of this knowledge to make fast Lucky Rings. Trust me, they are definitely worth the time to synth. Finally, it's time to discuss synth grinding in each world. This means I'll be explaining what each world excels in giving you for synth items. Pride Lands is the first we grind in for a speedrun. Pride Lands excels in giving you Power Gems, Frost Crystals, and Lightning Shards. To complete the journal requirement, you'll need 20 Power Gems, 30 Lightning Shards, and Frost Crystals you may only need about 5 to 7. Coming here first may also net you some Bright Crystals from Neo Shadows, as well as Energy Crystals from Shamans and Bright Gems from Aerial Knockers. To begin grinding, start from the Oasis. Make sure you swap out Simba so you have both Donald and Goofy's Lucky abilities active and equipped. Then just proceed out into the next room. Here there are a wave of Aerial Knockers or Rapid Thrusters, and then 1 Rapid Thrusters and Neo Shadows, and the third wave near the exit should be Aerial Knockers and Neo Shadows. In the next room there are a series of waves as you progress of Living Bones and Shamans with some Neo Shadows. Magnet plus Thunderga wrecks them pretty well and safely. In the next room you have a group of Armor Knights that can drop Lightning Gems and then some Neo Shadows with a Shaman. After this you can either exit the world in Rafiki's room and repeat, or go to the summit of Pride Rock to try to respawn a bunch of Rapid Thrusters. Re-enter until they spawn and then just kill them with any method that works for you to get an easy massive amount of Lightning Shards. 1 or 2 goes will probably get you the 30 quite easily. I don't recommend doing this until you have tons of Lucky Rings, as the synth items here are actually annoying to get. This world excels in giving you Lucid Stones from the Graveyards, Toy Soldiers, and White Knights, and Lucid Shards from the Trick Ghost. As a bonus, it also gives you Power Shards from the Creeper Plants as you kill Ghost in the Forest Room. To grind here, start off on the Tree Hill save point. Walk forward into Candy Cane Lane before Santa's house. As soon as you enter, walk forward and reflect into a magnet to catch the ghost. Then just spam whatever strat you have to kill the toy soldier. Then head off to the forest where you will encounter more ghosts with creeper plants and armored knights. Next, go to the square room. Here there are graveyards and white knights. Lastly, head off to the room to kill graveyards and ghosts. This room is deadly at level 1, so try to come up with a strat that works for you. Reflega and Thunderga spam works fairly well. Then just head back to the snow hill and you can either warp out and re-enter, or go into the Candy Cane Lane fight and die and repeat the process. If you finish Lucid Stones before Lucid Shards, you can skip the square room and just focus on killing ghosts. Agrabah is a big world to grind in. This world excels in giving you Blazing Gems from Fat Bandits or Fiery Globes, Power Stones from the Luna Bandits or Silver Rocks, Frost Gems from the Fortune Tellers or Ice Cubes, and Fire Crystals from the Crimson Jazzes. The bonuses of this world include Lightning Stones from Emerald Blues, Energy Gems from Fortune Tellers and Emerald Blues, and Bright Stones from Luna Bandits and Silver Rocks. It also gives you a great chance of leveling Wisdom form if you check out my Drive leveling video guide. So the best thing about this world is it's convenient depending on what items you need. It's best to start for the fire gems, so warp to the shop. There are a bunch of fat bandits and fiery globes in this room that you can get fire gems from, and also the crimson jazz for a fire crystal. Next you can go into the bazaar. Here there are a ton of silver rocks and Luna bandits for power stones, as well as potential bright stones. After this you can either loop through this segment to finish off fire gems and power stones, or move on to the Cave of Wonders. Outside there are icy cubes that could give you frost gems, and then inside the cave in various locations are silver rocks, fortune tellers, emerald blues, and crimson jazzes. Then you just warp out in the next room and go back into the world and do whatever. In Land of Dragons, you'll want to be grinding for frost shards from hook bats, lightning stones from the emerald blues, dark stones from nightwalkers and assault riders, as well as dark crystals from air pirates. If you've been following this guide with your synth route, there are no real big bonuses from doing this world. In fact, you may be done or almost done with lightning stones already. First, you want to go to the cave. On the way, there are 2 waves of hook bats for easy frost shards. Then in the actual center cave, you can magnet Thundaga spam to kill everything fast for more frost shards, dark stones, and dark crystals from the enemies. After this, you can usually choose to warp out and re-enter. When you're done with frost shards and dark crystals, you can easily get dark stones and lightning stones in the mountain path room from the nightwalkers and emerald blues. Synth grinding here is pretty simple compared to most worlds. All you're coming here for are dark gems from the Gargoyle Heartless. This world also is somewhat a source of blazing shards from hammer frames, but if you farmed for bright shards on minute bombs already in Olympus, you probably have gotten a ton of blazing shards from them. And even though hammer frames drop rate for them is higher than a minute bombs, it's still faster to do it with minute bombs as they are in bulk unlike hammer frames. The gargoyles are in bulk in the room where you fought Thresholder. They are immune to thunder, so Magnega Thundaga won't work well, but Reflect into Magnega can work just fine if you're worried about dying. If you choose to farm hammer frames for blazing shards, they are on the path up to Beast's room through the minigame area. There are a few synth items you will want to gather in Timeless River. You will want frost stones from the aeroplanes and hot rods, power shards from the large bodies, and dark shards from shadows or soldiers. It's good to save this world until late because you may already have a ton of dark shards from elsewhere as well as power shards. A nice bonus to this world is getting bright stones from the aeroplanes. For the frost stones, you can get them from the first 3 windows quite easily, as well as the room where you fought Past Pete and the room where you fought Phase 1 of Final Pete. For hot rods, you may want to either Magnega Thundaga spam them or Reflega spam them with some combos. The power shards you can get from windows 1 and 3. Reflega and Thundaga spam puts a quick end to the large bodies. As for the dark shards, if you haven't already hit 30 throughout the other worlds by now or need more, window number 4 is an amazing source of a bunch of shadows and soldiers to drop them. Olympus is a great source of blazing stones, blazing shards, and bright stones. You likely won't need to specifically grind for lucid crystals, but if you do, this world isn't too bad for it. A bonus may also include getting some bright crystals from the Neo Shadows and Crescendos that are in the world. This world is pretty simple to grind in. Just start from the path towards Hades past the bulky vendor room. Down this path there are a bunch of tornado step enemies that drop blazing stones. In the mix of them are Crescendos and Neo Shadows for bright crystals should you need more. Then if you need blazing shards, bright shards, or bright stones, they are all in the green room heading up to Hades' room. The minute bombs drop blazing shards and bright shards, and then the drillers up higher drop bright stones as well as lightning stones if you haven't grinded in Land of Dragons yet for those. Space Paranoids can yield a good amount of synth items, but only one that should really grab your attention is the lightning crystals dropped from Devastators and Strafers. All the others can be grabbed better elsewhere, though cannons can snag you blazing stones and bright stones should you kill them as well. The real bonuses are getting elixirs from Devastators and bright crystals from Strafers. The only rooms you'll want to really stick to are the first room and the computer room. It's easy to go back and forth between these and death abuse on enemies. To take out Devastators, you will likely want to spam Reflect and Thundaga on them. Be warned that they hit hard if you're grinding at level 1, so don't underestimate them. They don't stagger as easily as most enemies as well. Strafers fall to Magnega Thundaga though.